More medical information and help, courtesy of the Good Day Health Show. I'm Doug Steffen here with Dr. Jack Stockwell. Thought it was interesting, Jack, that the FDA has approved the first cannabis-based drug. You know how controversial this is. So one wonders, I don't think you and I have ever talked about marijuana and the nitty-gritty about what it does and how it helps. This is a drug taken from that, and I guess my question is, why do we need a drug if you can use the substance directly? It looks like another way of getting through the back door into something that it may not be necessary. Epidiox. Let me see if I can figure this out. Epidiolex. Epidiolex. I don't know, put these letters and consonants together. But anyway, this is an oral solution for people who have epileptic problems. And heretofore, have people who had epilepsy just smoked pot?
Well, I suppose that's probably true. They didn't have to start breaking down the chemical structure of marijuana until they began to find out what part of it did what. Now, the important thing is that we have cannabinoid receptors in the brain.
Yeah.
And those who are really pushing for marijuana say, oh, look at that. Well, you know, the human body developed along with everything else on the earth, and we developed with marijuana. But there's other kinds of plants and foods out there that have cannabinoids in it. It's not fair to say that the human brain is sitting there waiting for marijuana. Now, in the past, in kind of an unregulated situation, and not that I'm in favor of a lot of regulation by any means, but in an unregulated environment, people thought, well, a little bit gets you a little high. What's going to happen if we go beyond this? And then you end up with the stoned culture, and you end up with the 60s and the 70s, and everything that's happened since then has kind of given it such a bad name. But again, you have to go deeper and find out the major dynamic in this country that's against this is Big Pharma, because they don't want this kind of stuff competing with some of the major drugs that are on the market right now, especially for pain, especially for convulsions, especially for epilepsy, and long-term central nervous system degeneration control like Parkinson's or MS or these kinds of things that have shown to respond favorably to marijuana. So as soon as the pharmaceutical industry and this is my opinion now, it's kind of a political bent here, but with this new drug that's out, as soon as they get a firm foothold in the drug control of marijuana, it's going to be everywhere. It's going to be in every state. It's going to be in every pharmacy. But they have to make sure they have the control of the flow of money first. However, with that being said, marijuana has the medical aspects of it is overwhelming. I have one patient now about 2 hours north of Salt Lake that their little girl, because of some problems with birth, and she's only, she's probably 4 or 5 years old now, such severe convulsions and epilepsy that the only thing that would control it is to drug her to a comatose state, or they run over to Colorado where recreational marijuana is free. I'm not free, I mean available. And they go over there against the laws of the state of Utah. They go over there, get this stuff, bring it home, and it keeps their daughter from having epilepsy and convulsions.
I wonder how much that happens elsewhere around the country.
Oh, I bet it happens everywhere.
As
more and more people begin to wake up to the effects of marijuana. But then there's the downside where, it gets into the hands of kids and they're just like alcohol, like a lot of other kinds of things. It ends up going to excess. And so there's that cultural side of it that wants to put the brakes on this.
Yeah. Well, it's very interesting, as you say, follow the money. You actually ought to go to ForbiddenDoctor.com and look up all of the podcasts that have had to do with dieting and put them all together, and you'll learn amazing things about some of the staples in your diet that you probably shouldn't have as staples in your diet. Is that a good way of assimilating information?
Again, in a diet, the classic thing about a diet is one size doesn't fit all. There are different types of nutritional status in people. But primarily, if you stay away from processed foods and you eat what Mother Nature has made, and you understand that the only way you build your body is with meat, fish, dairy, and eggs, and the spices that make them delicious, and that fruits and vegetables are pretty well reserved for cleansing, detoxifying, and a source of minerals and vitamins for the body. And with that said, there are a multitude of nutritional types here in our country, everything from a pure vegetarian to a pure carnivore. Mm-hmm. And just like if you were to give a steak to a cow, it would starve to death before it ate it. If you gave a salad to a lion, it's going to starve to death before it ate it. If you give a huge carnivore meal to a pure vegetarian, they're going to get sick. If you give a salad and a bunch of fruit to a carnivore, an hour later they're going to have terrible digestive problems and probably need to lay down for a 2-hour nap. So the idea is to find out where you fit into this. Where do you fit into the spectrum? What's your ethnic derivatives? How were you raised? These kinds of things. And to find the diet that's best for you. And that's part of what our symptom survey will help bring to your consciousness. When we find out what's going on with the different parts of your body, we can have suggestions for you to follow at that point.
Yep. All right. So there's that. That's at ForbiddenDoctor.com. You can also take their symptom survey. There's some new folks in the office that interpret the results of the survey. Take you, I don't know, I seem to think it took me a half an hour to do.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions.
It's a lot of questions there.
Yeah, very
But
detailed.
find out what's going on in your body, courtesy of Jack and the people that work there, because they won't charge you for this, and you'll learn a whole heck of a lot about what's going on in your body. And then maybe there are things they can suggest to you that will help you become the person you want to be physically. And we all know that with physicality, everything, the mind-body-spirit connection or spirit-mind-body connection, very helpful. If you feel good, you're going to be good. It's this thoughts or things thing. That's really what it is. So anyway, they'll work on your weight with you, all kinds of things that are important. Don't forget also at ForbiddenDoctor.com, you can get a couple of the things that are proprietary that Mary and Jack in their research have come up with, especially these long life energy enzymes. No one should be without them. It's a way for your system to work its best. If you have any thyroid issues or have had a lot of people I know have had thyroid cancer, you see a little scar on the neck, you need to supplement with something called ageless thyroid that Jack has. So all of these things together are through the clinic that Jack and Mary run in Salt Lake City, and they can be accessed by going to ForbiddenDoctor.com. All kinds of standards there, and Jack is very good at understanding, as you can tell by listening to him, what's going on and put it all into practice. So that's at ForbiddenDoctor.com. Good Day Health. Good day to the Good Day Health Show. Dr. Jack Stockwell is here. I'm Doug Steffen. The foods that have the most antioxidant value, according to a study that came from University of California at Berkeley: blackberries, walnuts, strawberries, artichokes, cranberries, coffee, raspberries, pecans, blueberries, cloves, grape juice, baking chocolate, sour cherries, red wine. Spices as well have high concentrations of antioxidants. Carrots, spinach, mushrooms, asparagus, broccoli, high levels of antioxidants, but they got to be cooked first. I found that interesting because we always are talking about raw, Jack, and how much better raw is. Raw milk, for example. You've heard me, for years I've been an advocate of that. I grew up on raw milk, and if it's properly processed and produced by the farmer, it certainly is much better for you than the milk that you get out of a carton.
Well, there's a big difference between a raw fluid like milk, which is ready for human consumption, and a raw vegetable. Because raw vegetables work fine with ruminants like a cow, sheep, deer, this kind of thing, because they have the digestive system to break those things down. The nutrition in a raw vegetable is locked up inside those cellulose fibers of which that plant is made.
Yep.
We don't have cellulase. We don't have the cellulase enzyme that breaks that stuff down. So when you cook it and cook it and cook it, cooking is just pre-digestion. Whether you're roasting a turkey in the oven or you're boiling carrots on the stove, it's breaking down the material that your body's going to finish off with your digestive system. So when you cook vegetables, even when you cook fruits, you are starting to break down those cellulose fibers so that the nutrition inside those things can be beneficial. You can actually obtain some of it. But since we don't have the digestive system of an herbivore, we can't unlock all of the material. Yeah, their stomachs are loaded with bacteria. The four stomachs that's in a cow. Those bacteria break down those cellulose fibers to release the food energy that's inside of it. We don't have that.
No. All right. So this conversation, and by the way, dairy products in this same routine in terms of the participants in this study also are asked to consume an average of 3.5 servings of dairy products a day, cheeses, milk, sometimes ice cream, yogurt, that sort of thing, and that lowered their systolic pressure, which is the upper number on your blood nose. Like mine is 110 over 68 or 70. What's yours? Yours is pretty low now too, isn't it, Jack?
Yeah, it's dropped quite a bit. It's 130 something over 88, 89, something like that. But it used to be a lot higher.
Yeah, so now he's bringing it, and you can bring it down too. And here's the way to do it. Let me underscore the business about, and also don't forget potassium, magnesium that comes in dairy, very important for all kinds of things. Blood pressure, getting a good night's rest, relaxing your body, all of those sorts of things. It's amazing what Mother Nature, if we want to call her that, Mother Nature, God, infinite intelligence, all the things that have systematically been created here. And you wonder if there's life elsewhere, if they have the same sorts of things. Have we used the same pattern that here is prevalent on Earth? Is that existing somewhere else on another planet? That may be a little far for this conversation and this program to go.
No, but it's a great idea, a great topic for discussion.
It is. Okay, so anyway, as far as the fruits that you just heard us talk about, we enumerated about a dozen of them, and they are all included in the fruits that are put together. They are prepared, dried, powdered, and they go into Balance of Nature capsules, same as the veggies. So there is a green capsule that are all the vegetables been powdered and put in the capsule, and then there's a pink, sort of pinkish red, which is the fruit capsule. Take one of each in the morning and at night, and you will boost your immune system by 700%. That's not a claim. That's actually proven in scientific studies in a laboratory. This is something, and that's what I like about this company. They provide a health coach at no charge as well. So you can go online to balanceofnature.com, and you can use the code DJV to get special promotions, special pricing, special discounts. Balanceofnature.com, promo code DJV, also entitles you to a free month supply, but you got to use that code DJV. So spend a couple of bucks, get something that's good for your body, that will fight off all the bad things. That's what your immune system is supposed to do. Fight off, ward off all the inflammation, so you will have health and have a well-being about you, a glow about you. Check out the testimonials, too, of the people that have been on Balance of Nature for a long time. Go to balanceofnature.com, enhance your immune system, and save money by using the promo code DJV. Now, here's something that I found. I don't know whether I think this is strange. A supplement that, according to research done by a doctor named Saverio Stranges, the mineral selenium has been thought to help protect against certain illnesses, type 2 diabetes. But this research of 7,000 people that took selenium long-term for an average of 7 years, 50% more likely to develop diabetes during the period. So what do you make of that?
Well, it would depend on where the selenium came from and how much they took. Selenium is very toxic.
It is.
Yes, it is. But in small amounts, it's absolutely essential for health. The conversion between T3 and T4, the very important thyroid hormones, is selenium dependent. And that's why we put selenium in ageless thyroid. Just a small microgram trace of it is all you need to make sure that certain kinds of functions in the body take place. But again, this is an example where a lot of people, well, gee, I read this report that said selenium is really important for thyroid health. Maybe I should take more of it. And so when they come up with studies like this, it's because people are probably getting it from a metallic source, not through a food source, which is really important, where the selenium is tied up with an amino acid. So your body can use it. If it doesn't want it, it'll get rid of it. But when you put the metallic form in, the body has a hard time dealing with it. And you get enough of it, selenium is a very toxic mineral.
Well,
so I can understand the results of that test.
Yeah. All right. So it's moderation is always something. I think that is part of what we don't always understand. You think more is better, and it isn't. And this is a perfect example of that. So thank you for clarifying it, because I think a lot of people, as you just suggested, they want to join this group of being healthier and by taking more. In some cases, especially if you use standard product, this is a brand of supplements that all is food-based. So I can't imagine that there's any such thing as too much there, although you don't want to overdo it.
Well, your body
right?
gets rid of it. When minerals come to you, and our life is dependent upon minerals, and minerals come in through the diet, and the body sees it wrapped up in a protein, sees it wrapped up in a fat, sees it wrapped up into a carbohydrate that has been untouched by the processing plants that are the way Mother Nature made them. The body knows exactly what to do with it, how to implement it, where it needs to go. It creates transport mechanisms, these little cars, these little trucks that run through the bloodstream, delivering these important nutritional elements to the kidney, to the liver, to the brain. But when stuff comes in that the body doesn't recognize because it's not wrapped up with food, it has to store it somehow. And a lot, excuse me, it ends up putting it in the joints. It ends up as arthritis. In this underneath the skin where the fat cells are, it's going to start looking like cellulite. If it ends up in the breast, it's going to be lumpy. If it ends up in the brain, there's going to be dementia. The body has different places where it's going to dump this stuff that it cannot process simply because, imagine, a very expensive car engine, and you're using the highest grade fuel that the operator's manual tells you to use, and then you start pouring in a cup of sugar with each gas tank. I mean, that's what happens when we start putting these kinds of things in our body. Now, somebody might start using some selenium, and they get a little burst of energy, and they feel a little bit better, and then they get this crazy idea, well, maybe I should take an awful lot more of it without ever giving any real study to the matter.
Follow the directions that are on the bottle. That's pretty much I was just looking at a bottle of Long Life Energy enzymes. And by the way, when you go to ForbiddenDoctor.com, there is a summer sale. It's about to end. And Jack and Mary have offered huge savings if you use the code SUMMERSUN. So you can check that out at Forbidden Doctor as well. Lots of reasons you can read there about energy, long life energy enzymes. And you've heard Jack talk about them. Certainly, I don't mind helping you out with these because they're very good for you. And so if you want to take advantage of that special deal, a lot of things on summer sale at ForbiddenDoctor.com. Let's talk about Bridget Nielsen giving birth to her fifth child at the age of 54. What does it help in the construct? And I don't mean this to be facetious. The guy she's with is 39, so he's 15 years younger. Does his contribution help to make the baby healthier? If there was concern about Bridget has had her ups and downs, if you know what I mean. She's been known to be quite a partier. So at 54, there's a certain amount of danger involved. Does having a younger husband help out in the baby's defense?
If you want to grow a fruit tree in your backyard, I'll make this really brief. If you want to grow a fruit tree in your backyard, you're going to go down to some landscaping place and pick up an apple or a pear or a peach or something. That did not come from a seed. It came from a graft. If you plant fruit from the seeds that are in the fruit you eat, you can't eat it. The stuff is terrible. Now, with that said, what happens with that plant depends on the soil you planted it in. it is so much more important, the health of the mother, than the health of the father. Now, you can have bad sperm. There are a lot of conditions, but mostly dietary, that can affect the health of a sperm cell. And when you start off with the very seeds of life, the egg from mom and the sperm from dad, if there's any kind of a problem in there, that problem will be magnified through the development of the baby.
Yeah.
Now, the fact that he's younger can only contribute to the health of the sperm cell. But the majority of the health of that baby is going to be the soil that baby grows in. And that's the health of the mother and her environmental factors and what she's doing to make sure ahead of time, not once she gets pregnant, but once if she knows she's going to be having a child, she needs to spend 1 year to 2 years of revitalizing the soil that baby's going to grow in
the body. All right, don't forget, Jack and Doug brought to you by Calitrin, the #1 healthy choice for weight loss. Jack's on it, Doug's on it, and it's working. Get it to work for you. Go to toploss.com, 10% off on the bottles, the first 3 bottles, 10% off, and then you get a free bottle on the 4th turnaround. Check out the box DJV at toploss.com for the extra bonus. It wouldn't make a difference whether you get a bonus or not. This is a really good product, but it helps to give you a special deal. So check it all out. Lose the weight guaranteed. All natural Calitrin at toploss.com. Dr. Jack Stockwell is here with a lot of things that are important to your health and well-being. Jack does a lot of research. He thinks a lot. And so here we are with the result of his research and his thinking, with a story about how people die suddenly in our country from cardiac arrhythmia, cardiac events, I guess they call them, right? All kinds of cardiac things. 250,000 people die suddenly in our country every year. So the story behind the story here when it comes to the research, what do you want people to take away from this information other than Friday is Fish Day in the Catholic Church?
Yeah, it's part of the physician's health study that was done a number of years ago, and they looked at 20,500 physicians, male physicians, excuse me, and they looked at, it was a total profile. It was a lot of different things, but one was the dietary aspect. And interestingly enough, one of the things that came out was that these fellows who would eat fish at least once a week, and they weren't specified in advance, we want you to eat this or not eat that.
In other words, the type of fish, whether it was whitefish, whether it was salmon, whether it was haddock or
mackerel, right, or even crustaceans, lobster, shrimp, crab, this kind of stuff, as long as it came out of the ocean. And it wasn't things that were done in advance like this group is going to eat, this group is going to eat this group is going to eat that. No, it wasn't that. It was an assessment several years after the study had begun, and they found out because in this 20,000 during this period, there were several hundred of these male physicians who had died of a heart attack. And as they looked at the dietary intake of the whole group, they found out that those who ate fish at least once a week, and this is, remember, a retroactive type of study, that ate fish at least once a week, were 52% less likely to suffer a cardiac event, cardiac death.
So what does that say for those of us who are taking, you and I have at least one capsule of omega-3s every single day? What does that say for us?
Well, the part of the study was trying to point out what was there about the fish that made the difference. And again, it comes down to the EPA and the DHA, the two very important omega-3 fatty acids.
Yeah, but you get too technical. EPA, most people don't know what that means.
Oh, it'll be on the label. It usually is on the label of the body, but you're right. Or I'm leaning on the label of the bottle itself. But you're correct about that. It's just fish oil.
Yeah. There is omega-3, omega-6, omega-9. You say don't focus on 6 and 9, but on 3.
You get 6 and 9 in your diet all the time. In fact, we get way too much 6.
Where do we get it?
Most salad oils, most of the salad oils, and people who eat fast food with fried oils, those are almost always omega-6.
And those are not good for you anyway.
No, they've been hurt by
But there used to be capsules, Jack, around you could get, and even bottles of liquid fish oil they'd give you the percentage of omega-3, omega-6, omega-9
right.
in it, but you just don't want to get...
A lot of that's marketing. A lot of that's just marketing.
Yeah.
The bottom line is to make sure that you get a good dose of omega-3 every day. Mm-hmm. And two or three capsules of the fish oil can do the job, and we've talked about that. And I like the tuna omega-3, but there's other. The krill oil is very good that you talk about often.
Well, let's talk about that right now, as long as you brought us around to that. Krill Omega 50 Plus with CoQ10 from Purity Products. After listening to Jack for 5 minutes talk about how important these oils are, and the fact that so many people still, even with us talking about this, don't eat enough fish or don't get enough omega-3s in their system. And along comes Purity with Krill Omega 50 Plus with CoQ10 that has, as Jack is suggesting, from the fish oil department, omega-3s for your cardiovascular health, so you won't have these cardiac events. And then there's krill oil, which, among other things, boosts your joint comfort by working well with the bursa to lubricate so you don't have aches and pains. So put them together. It's Krill Omega 50 Plus with CoQ10. The CoQ10 gives you energy. Wouldn't you like to try this? Find out how it impacts your body. If you haven't gotten a free bottle yet, call 800-355-1493. When I say yet, because we've been talking about this since the beginning of the year. So a lot of time, but new people all the time listening to the program. So call for your free bottle of this fabulous product, 800-355-1493. Yes, I said it was free. You pay for shipping, and that's it. 800-355-1493.
This program was edited by Bob K. Sound and Recording. Visit bobksound.com.